Stop fidgeting. The intro. Welcome. Karl Marx does the washing up.
What was that?
What was what?
What was that little?
This means centering ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is for your throat chakra.
So when I told you to come up with a jingle, you're just gonna hit the bowl, and that's the opening jingle.
Yeah, but isn't our podcast all about it's about dissolving the self, taking yourself away from things? This is the universe making the sound, rather than me. I'm not going to make a jingle.
Yeah, but why didn't we just have a jingle where we're like, this podcast is about dissolving yourself?
It's not a jingle. Jingle is like jingle bells, jingle.
Yeah, okay, why don't we just sing the intro? Like,
okay, let's do that.
Good evening. Welcome to Karl Marx Does the Washing Up,
where we ponder ludicrous metaphysical nonsense in the time it takes to make 5 Tesco's basic microwave meals.
Which is around 21 minutes.
Sounds a little short to me.
I'm Shy Telly.
I'm Ilyas and Shy.
That's so much better. That's much better. Yeah. I think that worked really well.
Yeah?
I don't know how I feel about us having a jingle though. That's very professional. That almost felt a bit too professional.
Yeah, I don't think it'll sound it. Don't worry. I think we can still maintain whatever off the cuff kind of workshop vibe. So what are we doing? What are we talking about?
Oh, so actually what we should talk about is the fact that, we offer a lot of life advice on this podcast.
Do we?
Yeah, well, I think at least to each other we do offer, maybe not life advice, we offer a lot of advice.
Yeah.
Or
a lot of life.
But I think we do offer a lot.
More than the advice slips you get at an ATM machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think we do it in quite an ambiguous way.
Yeah.
And I think you and I both use ambiguity a lot in our life.
Mm.
Maybe more.
Well, I think in terms of giving advice or helping people,
ambiguous is the only way to be.
Well, yeah, no, I'm totally with that because I think that everybody needs something different in their lives.
So you just try and be as ambiguous as possible.
Well, I think the way I came to say things is that if we could just try and find some way to get people create moments of beauty in which people can find themselves and find guidance in that beauty, then I think that's why I do a lot of my poetry and art is around that. It's people finding their own ineffable truth.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah.
And I think that's why that's what religion and everything has kind of been has been based off, and why it's been so successful, and why it's failed so much.
Yeah, because it is very ambiguous, right?
Yeah, take a text, if you take any religious text, then I think it's mostly poetic text, and the reason that they're so powerful, why they can create so much good in the world, is because they're timeless, because they can always you can always find self-relevance in them, and they can always apply to any sort of temporal context.
But what about things that aren't ambiguous, like the 10 Commandments?
Well, I think so maybe people follow. Well, I don't know. I think everything can be seen
as ambiguous.
But you can say that in anything.
Wait, so thou shalt not commit adultery. It's not a really ambiguous statement. I think it's quite a factual. It's quite a.
Well, I guess what's
statement.
The definition of adultery? We can be ambiguous about that. But still, I mean, right, I don't even know. What is the definition of adultery?
I think
cheating on your wife
or your husband.
Yeah,
or your partner.
But it has to be marriage.
Yeah, I think within
a modern day context, you can find a lot of ambiguity in that.
Yeah, okay. But okay, so then are you saying there's ambiguity in every statement?
Well, there is, but there's different levels of ambiguity. Like you said, the 10 Commandments is quite clear, but the 10 Commandments kind of come within a story. The 10 Commandments come with Moses receiving the 10 Commandments within a sort of poetic narrative, which could be considered ambiguous in itself.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and I think what that allows is us to apply it to kind of, we can always relate our lives to these poems, because they transcend geography, they transcend time, transcend space, all of it. Well, space is just what you have to throw in space because what comes after time, right?
Yeah, obviously space.
Yeah, space or sage.
Yeah.
But but I think that causes all the problems as well because you use these ambiguous things to just purport whatever you want. Like that's where you get terrorism, and that's where you get all kinds of violence.
But that's okay. So I think this is what I find quite fascinating is because there are times when we intentionally use ambiguity. Like I think you and I especially we use it. Me especially I use it a lot in my relationships and my friendships, and even in the context of my work and within the charity. Very ambiguous a lot of the times. We might go to Ibiza. Or like, I am taking your son to Ibiza, and I will do my best to look after him, right? Or like, I'm very ambiguous.
That's very just lack of commitment. You're like, no?
Yeah, maybe, no, but actually, so the point I'm trying to make is that I think there are times when we're intentionally ambiguous, but are there times when we're unintentionally ambiguous? Like subconsciously.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Subconsciously we're ambiguous, but consciously I mean that can be said for anything, right? We're subconsciously. There's loads of times we're doing stuff which we're unaware of.
Yeah. But I mean,
no.
Yeah. But as in, I don't know how to phrase this actually. Yeah, but I think
maybe we shouldn't have started a podcast.
Yeah, but I think our podcast strength. I like our podcast strength lies in the fact that we're quite ambiguous in advice that we provide, but I don't think we're always intentionally being ambiguous.
Yeah, so sometimes we just don't know how to explain our points.
Like,
and we'll just like feign it off as ambiguous to create some sort of poeticism around our inarticulateness.
Yeah, I think that's kind of true. Also, this must be a record for the amount of times someone said ambiguous in like a 5-minute span.
Yeah, but also,
30 times.
But your use of this word is quite ambiguous, as well. Because I feel like we haven't got to any definition. What do we mean by ambiguous?
Also, I don't even think that when we title this episode "Ambiguity," we'll be able to spell it. I don't think I can spell it.
Well, me definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not.
And the fact that I write the blurbs, it makes no sense.
Yeah, this is going to be a terrible episode. Yeah, but I think.
Well, I already spelled. Yeah, what was it?
Oh yeah, you spelled loneliness wrong. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that makes it more endearing.
I'm not lonely.
I think spelling mistakes make us more endearing. Which is actually quite ironic, because if someone makes a spelling mistake over WhatsApp, people are usually quite judgmental over that.
Really? What? Are they?
Well, I'm not, but I think other people are.
I feel like I'm judgmental if there aren't spelling mistakes. I'm like, who takes this much care over what they write?
Okay, maybe not in WhatsApp, but okay, fine. If you received a CV that had spelling mistakes, I think
that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, but it would make you more endearing. Actually, so then why do we think people are more endeared to a podcast if they're spelling mistakes?
It also depends what you're applying for. If you're like applying for the head of the Dyslexics Association,
then you should at least have a few spelling mistakes. Yeah. But okay, so what's the point I'm trying to make here?
I have no clue.
You've no.
Is it that you're Turkish?
Shucks, I'm not talking about this again. We're not having this Turkish discussion again.
Okay. So you like the jingle?
I think the jingle works. I think the jingle works.
Okay, the jingle
I'm not sure how many times we can do it again, though.
Okay.
Because what was even the tune that we were singing?
What were we even like? Why would we do anything?
Yeah, but repetition leads to enlightenment.
Oh, I thought boredom.
Boredom leads to enlightenment.
Repetition leads to boredom. Boredom probably leads to enlightenment.
Yeah, and what's more boring than repetition?
Yeah, or enlightenment.
I mean. Yeah, but I think my fear is that actually, like, we're so ambiguous in this podcast, it's actually impacting my personal life. I'm very ambiguous now in, a lot of, like, are we meeting at 7? It's very hard for me to commit to anything, actually, at the moment.
But I think there's a difference between a fear of, like, commitment and not just saying things.
I think it's a fear of commitment. It's just, I think I've maybe become attached to being quite ambiguous.
Yeah, but you're attached to living in a space where nothing becomes any, like, concrete at all. Like, you don't, it's like, should we meet at 7 just because I don't want to commit to, like, being on time? It is a commitment thing.
Yeah, okay, maybe it is kind of, no, but then...
It's like, what happens if I meet a clown on the train and the clown tells me, let's do a painting, and then I end up doing a painting in a church? Like, I'm not going to be there at 7. like that's how you think, isn't it? Like, what,
Yeah, but then that comes down to the podcast and us not committing, you not wanting to commit to a certain, a certain saying.
Yeah. I'm always scared. I'm like, oh wait, is this what I believe? Wait, nobody cares, and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, but even believing that nobody cares, you're still committing to that belief that nobody cares.
What? Yeah, sure.
I just think it's maybe impossible to have a discussion about ambiguity.
Well, clearly.
When we're like in
this is the worst podcast ever.
Yeah, like in this space. But I think there is something here. There is something about ambiguity that I want to discuss, but like I said...
I'm actually really into ambiguity and I can give lots of nonsense about it.
Okay, go on then. Give some nonsense about it.
Well, for me, because I'm always talking about
nonsense,
the truth and how it's ineffable and something, and so it doesn't live within the sort of logical frameworks of language, the only way to express something true is to have something which lives like above the concretion of literal language. And that's what a poem does, is it offers like a sentiment or some ideology that points to something, but it never really fully lands or manifests within a very specific way.
It's a very ambiguous thing, right?
Yeah, so people can like create self-relevance and they can relate to it in the way that serves them or fits them. The only problem is that when what they're connecting that to is not so benevolent, and it's based on a more sort of kind of malicious desire, then they can use that the poeticism to kind of propagate that malice. And I think that's where that's where shit goes.
That's where shit goes wrong. Actually, I really agree with that. When ambiguity is used in like a negative manner.
Yeah. And I think that's for me. That's why I started writing like literal philosophy or ideas, and I'm like, this is nonsense. It doesn't convey anything.
Yeah. Like, it's actually ambiguous.
Yeah, so that's why it's gone more and more towards the artistic spectrum, because art is truer to me.
Yeah, but I think that does resonate with me a lot, actually. But it's also this fear that actually by acknowledging our ambiguity, are we actually alienating our listeners that do what we do say, like that things we say does resonate with them?
By
By acknowledging the fact that, we are unintentionally and intentionally ambiguous, are we going to alienate the people that take what we say?
Well, I think there's two different things. One is being ambiguous in a very intelligent way that creates that self-relevance. The other one is just quite unconcisely rambling like imbeciles.
Okay, but our podcast is a mixture of both.
Yeah, exactly. It's a mixture of both. And the rambling like imbeciles can maybe be enjoyable to some degree if it's
it's enjoyable to us.
If it's enjoyable to
But
in terms of conveying a point, I don't think there's anything beneficial of just being unconcise ramblers.
Yeah, and I think actually there's a certain level of truth in what you just said about how maybe every art piece is ambiguous.
Yeah.
Or even religious texts are ambiguous, and then we just draw our things that we relate to.
Yeah, and I think it's for that reason that they speak to a sort of a layer of reality that science can never get to, because science is so
unambiguous.
Yeah, or it purports sort of very kind of linear, finite notions
that can be
universe.
replicated. Right?
But there's something else missing. There's something else it needs to do, and that stuff doesn't live really it doesn't live on the ground.
Yeah, but it's interesting. But for some people, science is enough.
Yeah, I don't think that's really true, because the people who say that science is enough, they're still living, they still go to art galleries, they still fall in love, they still live all these sort of sensory experiences. It's not that science is not enough. Maybe science is enough as a method for understanding the nature of reality, but it's not enough for existing within reality.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Quite ambiguous.
No, but I think there is some sense to it. But I think it's does it come down to existing within reality or existing happily within reality? Are you saying that if science is all that you follow, you maybe can't exist happily within reality? I think you could exist within reality if you just followed science. I don't think you'd stop existing.
But it's what is following science? Like, you're not science is like it's a methodology. It's a body of I mean, foremost it's a methodology, but then if we just follow the learnings of science, like as a kid, you grow up, you're following something, you're following instinct, or I don't think there's anybody who's never lived off instinct at any point. But I don't know if we're conflating instinct with ambiguity. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, what are you?
Tenuous. Go on. No. I think what I'm saying is that.
Yeah, but okay, but that's really interesting because there's nothing really ambiguous about instinct. Like, when your intuition tells you that someone is a bad person, or when your instinct tells you not to touch that because it's hot, there's nothing really ambiguous about.
No,
instinct.
well, I think if there's often the intuitive force is actually
unambiguous, right?
Well, it's unambiguous if it's not verbalized, right? But once it becomes verbalized, it's very hard to land down, and it's like nobody when you're asked to explain your intuition or describe your intuition, it's very hard to do that accurately without being wildly ambiguous, and people get like what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean, like, God's telling you to eat the mango. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, but because people need a reason, right?
Yeah, and this means, I'm low in vitamin C. Like,
well, also it comes down to, what we were saying about love and how it just feeling right.
Yeah.
You need people want more of a reason than that.
So yeah. So I mean, I think when we're talking about ambiguity.
We've said it too many times this podcast.
If we're talking about ambiguity, then are we talking about a phenomena of language?
Well, I think it is, right?
Yeah. So if we're talking about a phenomena of language, then intuition is ambiguous in that way. If we're talking about something before language,
something
deeper. I think intuition's so clear and unambiguous. But when it's manifested in a way to convey it, we don't know how to do that.
Yeah, okay.
And it steals something from it.
Yeah, I think this is very true. But it's only when we vocalize it that it becomes ambiguous. So if my intuition is telling me to run, and I fucking run, nothing really ambiguous about that.
But it's like, I mean, I guess it's like having to explain, when you talk about science or whatever, like maybe having to explain it in reason terms.
Yeah, so I think this is something I struggle with. I think you're a lot better at this than me. Because, if I tell someone, I don't love them because it doesn't feel right, I feel like I owe them more of an explanation than just saying it doesn't feel right. Or if, maybe that's quite an extreme example, but, like even little things, I feel like I owe people explanations rather than just saying, it's a gut feeling or I just feel like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I also will give people explanations, but I also don't think that the explanation is really what I'm talking about. Like, the explanation is some way for you to kind of like navigate something, or for me to try and intellectualize something, which I know at its base doesn't need to be intellectualized, isn't necessary to be intellectualized.
Yeah, that's
true. And is more powerful than anything that's comes after this.
Yeah, that's true.
But I also like to hear the reasons. Like, when other people, I like to hear the reasons, but I will also understand that they're somewhat irrelevant.
Yeah, because
it's just an interesting journey.
Yeah, okay.
Make the ambiguous unambiguous, and then let's return to the ambiguity and go for a swim.
Yeah, but actually I think what we're saying is that you can never actually be unambiguous. The moment you vocalize something, it becomes ambiguous.
Well, I think also if we go into the ideas of, it becomes quite, epistemological if we start talking about truth. Like, if you believe in an objective truth, then you can say a statement which is not ambiguous because there is a truth to be said.
Yes.
Whereas if you don't believe in any real truth, you believe only in subjective truth or no real actual universe or something, then you can never really say anything with any full power, because everything is somewhat something plausible, maybe kind of halfway there, sort of instinct of truth.
Yeah, but
right?
Could you live a life that way?
I think we kind of do.
You think you?
I'm not sure if it's it's the apex of living, but it's.
But we still do. There still are
A-life.
some objective truths that we say. You know, like we have a podcast, or you know, this is my mother.
I don't see that as an objective truth. Like
Okay, fine. What about?
Firstly,
you know,
I don't know on what basis I would trust that when you point to somebody that would be your mother.
Okay, fine. What about in the context of, you know, Ilyas and Shy have a podcast called Karl Marx Does the Washing Up?
Yeah, so I believe that that it is true, even though the universe might not exist, it's true that in the universe that does not exist, that Ilyas and Shy, even though Ilyas and Shy themselves do not exist, not as identities, not as people, not as egos, or as like physical beings, nor are they talking, they still have a podcast.
Okay, but if that's like your approach to life, then it's amazing that our podcast is only 21 minutes long. Because we should be really over talking. Like, we could be saying a lot more. Like, you could be dissecting everything I ever said ever.
Yeah, but everything can exist within the context of it not existing. But still it exists within a sort of framework that, providing it exists.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, but that's a level of ambiguity that I think is completely unsustainable in terms of living.
Yeah,
so I think if you're that ambiguous, then you can't exist in reality.
So I think I can exist within the law, like, but maybe it's because I don't really deeply believe it. But I'm open to the idea that this is all a simulation, this is all illusion. You don't exist, I don't exist. But providing we whatever we are living in this space, there's certain things we can accept. That is true. Like, this is a table, and it will behave, mostly speaking, as tables tend to behave.
Yeah.
This is Shy. He's going to be late, as a Shy would typically behave.
Yeah, but that's only because the one time I was early, you were still asleep.
Yeah, I was having a shower. No, I was sleeping in the shower.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So what? Wait. Oh, so this is. Oh, it's because you were early that I re-questioned the whole nature of reality, and that
Exactly.
it might be an illusion. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but exactly. So maybe the idea is just, oh fuck, who the fuck up? What is this?
Yeah. Well, also, I like the amount of times that you just say "yeah, exactly" to yourself. I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah,
I very rarely meet someone who like is so affirming of their own opinions.
No, but because before I met you, this podcast was basically just going on in my head. Yeah. And then it's taking quite a lot of adjustment to
I think
incorporate.
But I think it's important for us to acknowledge our own ambiguity. And I think that's something that maybe a lot of people don't do.
How do you mean?
Like, I think a lot of people think they're giving, you know, specific advice to specific people. They like, you know, you should break up with that person. I think a lot of people try and be unambiguous. Whereas we're very happy being actually ambiguous.
Yeah, I guess.
But maybe that
I think
makes
there's a slight difference between
friends.
ambiguity and unintelligibility as well.
You think we're unintelligible?
We can be.
Yeah, but it's only when we're speaking over each other.
But I think that's because we're scared of actually being heard. Oh yeah, no. Like I think some people also just they're just like bad at explaining things, which might be us as well. Like, they think they're really good at explaining things, but nobody knows what the hell they're talking about.
I mean, me during this podcast, I've been terrible at explaining.
I don't think I've been any better. Like, when my cousin listens to this, he's like,
Yeah. Well, I'm always shocked that someone can listen to our podcast and actually understand what we're saying. That's like
next level.
That's a different level.
But it is amazing how many people get it. But I think that's because the ambiguity resonates with something deeper. Like, I think ambiguity is more powerful than biguity. And biguity, despite its, you know, sort of sonic aestheticism.
Yes, but I think the true test of that would be then, you know, to have the next episode where we just, you know, maybe do an episode where
ambiguity.
we just have a very factual episode where we maybe just tell people how to cook a dish or something.
Yeah, or we just read the Book of Facts, the Big Book of Facts.
The Big Book of Facts. Is that like the Guinness
Book of Facts? I don't think Guinness can be having two books.
What's the Big Book of Facts? What is that? Like
Hey, it's my book.
You've got a book called the Big Book?
No, but I've renamed it. It was called Reminiscence of President.
No, it's called the Big Book of Facts. Maybe we should rename the podcast to...
No, but it's just because, like... It's like, since you were... After being late, and then subsequently you being on time... You being early once, and then me subsequently realize you being late so many times, and then me subsequently realizing that all of that was a dream. And then realizing that everything that preceded that dream was you being late again, it restored my faith in an actual reality. And so my book lent to the purpose of factuality, and now I believe in objective truth, and then I'm the only one who has it, and so that's why it lives in my book under my bed, called The Objective Book of Facts.
Not the big book of facts.
AKA the Bible. Yeah,
well, I think...
Big Book of... Oh, you've seen it? It's big. Huh?
Yeah, big book of facts. But it'd be pointless to have a small book of facts, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I don't know how many facts I can handle in a day.
Well, none by the sound of things. So, like...
No, I think this is a very unfactual podcast. But I think we pride ourselves on this, because nobody really knows... Like, I distrust all fact.
Yeah, but I think, actually, that's the biggest thing. That actually we have a distrust of facts.
Yeah, or authority, or assertion,
or
concretion.
I think we actually, deep down, maybe even have a distrust of a lot of science.
Well, I just think science, it's just... I think it's, firstly, uncomprehensive. It's not full enough. It's not... Just doesn't explain everything. And also, it's got loads of dogma in it as well. It's not like religion's considered to be very dogmatic, which I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But I think science has its own...
Yeah, but I think it's the real problem that we're looking for answers to everything. That's the real problem, right?
Yeah. And I think that's with religion. Everybody thinks that, religion is it's answering all the things that science hasn't given us answers for. No, I think the purpose of religion is to give us the unanswerable.
Yeah.
Like, as in, give us space to connect with mystery, with uncertainty, with the unanswerable, with the ambiguity, and incorporate that space into our worldview of reality, which lives side by side and interwoven into science. Yeah.
No, but actually, I do really agree with that, actually. And I think we do try and connect with both worlds, right?
Yeah.
And try and find some amalgamation between the two. But I think...
Yeah, most of your time is in the prayer hall in the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, but that's only because one can pray anywhere. So everything is kind of a prayer hall.
And one can die anywhere as well, so everything is a hospital.
Yeah, exactly. One can offer medical aid anywhere in the world. Yeah, exactly. But I just think, I think actually you summarised it really beautifully.
I love how my definition of a hospital is somewhere where people die. Where some people.
You've always had a very bad time in hospitals. Yeah, but
okay, yeah.
Yeah, but actually, okay, fine. So what's more? So okay, there's two things in life that aren't ambiguous, right? Birth and death, right? That's it.
No, that's not true. Okay, that's nonsense. Because firstly, we've done a podcast on death, and we knew fuck all of what that is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
what happens after death? What is dying?
Yeah, okay,
we don't know.
Okay, that's true. Okay, fine. I know what birth is, but even then, we don't know.
No, we don't know what birth is, because first of all, what I find the most amazing thing is we have all these perceptions of childhood and birth and stuff, but we have no idea what it means to be a kid, because none of us can remember that. We don't know what the experience of being the 2-year-old kid is.
Yeah, I think actually it's really weird. Like I was thinking, my first memory is like when I'm 7, or even I think my first memory is from when I'm 13 or something.
What?
Yeah.
Were you in a freezer for 10 years or something? First memory was when you're 13.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this.
I was masturbating before that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I think my first vivid memory was I didn't get like a birthday cake for my 13th birthday, and I was very upset about it. Just I
think this is why your memory is so good, because you weren't wasting it on the first 13 years of your life.
Yeah, but it's like really weird. I don't really remember. Like people from my childhood tell me all these stories about myself. I'm like, I have no memory of these things.
Well, you didn't like the cake?
No, there was no cake.
There was no cake?
Yeah. I think my parents were going for like some new age...
Sounds too fabulous.
Not celebrating my birthday thing.
Was it like an avocado or something?
Yeah.
With a candle
I think it was just nothing. But it kind of got me...
Beta, omega-3.
Yeah, okay, but then maybe that's why I'm kind of obsessed with memory, because memory is so ambiguous.
Yeah. But I think the thing is, we don't think it's ambiguous. We
take it as fact.
Yeah, and we take... That's just like the, look back with flies in your eyes, the hologram, that kind of idea that we remember everything falsely, but we don't remember it with ambiguous sort of poetry. We just remember it concretely, but wrongly.
But wrongly, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But also that the past is... I think that's also the other thing, is like the past is alive. We think the past is dead, but the past is alive because it's changed by the present.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, actually, really, that's a really beautiful poetic statement as well, actually.
I think Thank you.
Yeah. No, but I think like if you live in a world where you think the past is alive, then I think that's really beautiful as well.
It's beautiful, but is it true? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even conducive to living. Like, does that mean you just spend too much time in your memory?
Yeah, but I mean, we take the past and we like sort of relate it to the present moment, and then we like fit it within the context of now. Like every time we remember something, we kind of like time travel into a space or like this kind of film, and we like abstract that film, we take it into the present, and we let it live in that context.
Yeah, but then having said that, like if you go from podcast episode to podcast episode, we don't actually refer back that much to our previous episodes.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, which maybe kind of suggests that the podcast exists in the present.
Yeah, for us when we're recording it.
Yeah,
yeah, but everything. Yeah, so it exists in the present. Dude, I'm not arguing with that. What are you talking about? Dude, you're still hung up on this birthday cake.
Yeah, I'm still very emotional.
The ambiguity of the non-birthday cake.
I think I'm still quite thinking about the jingle. That was so good.
Yeah, should we do it again? This is for your throat chakra.
No, I can't. I don't know. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to Karl Marx does the washing up.
Okay, goodbye.
What? Are you going to sing that?
So ambiguous. So ambiguous. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm meant to be singing.
I don't think you can. Actually, I think you're definitely a better singer than I am. There's no ambiguity about that.
Your singing is like your handwriting. It's like you started learning at the age of 13.
Yeah, but why would
you didn't get birthday
Why
cake.
would my singing be any different to my handwriting?
I don't know. I thought your mouth, like, I don't know. Your hands aren't always in your mouth. But I do respect the congruity that exists between all your limbs.
Yeah,
and all your like features and everything. It's like, yeah, my hands behave in the same way my mouth would. Why not? It's an expression of my soul.
Yeah, but I think it's true. I do handwrite the way that I speak.
Yeah. Well, definitely the way you sing. I think you've had more training in speaking
Than singing.
Yeah, I don't think I would have started a podcast with you if you spoke the way you wrote or sang.
I don't know. Well, if anyone wants to give me some singing lessons, I'm very open to singing.
Or handwriting lessons.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I'm
how can you have
perfect,
one without the
right.
other?
Huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, let's hear you singing.
Oh, I'm singing.
Yeah.
What should we sing?
The jingle.
What comes after that? Karl Marx says the
Yeah. In which we ponder.
Metaphysical nonsense and the time it takes to make 5 telescopes basic. Microwave me, oh.
Yeah, this is great. Okay, fine. You are maybe a better singer than me.
Really? My voice sucks. Yeah, we could definitely do with singing legends, so, yeah.
Yeah. But it's quite honest. Okay, fine. So the only time when we're not ambiguous is when we're talking about ourselves.
What? No.
Yeah, I'm
Really?
a bad singer.
Yeah, but I don't believe in, like, badness.
Oh, my God. Fine, I think...
But what is badness and what is a singer? And, like...
We can't be living
We can't operate.
this.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
This
is
a
actually
nightmare.
what my life's like. It's a fucking nightmare.
Your life is good. We live happy lives.
Yeah. But it's like if you go into my head, it's like it's like a screen of Rick and Morty, and inside the episode of Rick and Morty is like the Mighty Boosh, and inside the Mighty Boosh is like a game of two people playing chess, and on the chessboard is you. And all the people you thought were your mothers. And on the other side of the chessboard is all these people I wish were my fathers. And beneath this chessboard is this giant Japanese architectural structure with like Persian rugs all at the base. And it's like me sitting there drinking a cup of tea. And inside the tea is this like pool of water, in which you are sitting on this jumping board, diving board, coming out into the tea. And as you dive into the pool, you keep going down, and as you go down deep, you become the sound of the singing bowl. And what was my point? And in the singing bowl, that sound is what I consider to be reality. And so it's quite hard to navigate life.
Quite hard. Quite hard.
quite hard.